Yes, guys, we are starting. Give me 2 minutes. Hello, guys. Good evening. Let me start recording, and we are going to talk about one of the most important part. Tell me, how many of you have clear understanding about AWS VPC? I just want you to type yes into the chat box if you have idea about it. If you don't have, no need to worry. I am going to explain you this as well. Yes, yes, I have. Achilles is saying, yes. Tell me, how many of you have clear understanding about VPC? Yes. Just type yes into the chat box if you have. Yes. Okay. Now, today we are going to talk about VPC, which is virtual private cloud. But this topic is really very interesting because here we are not going to discuss about only AWS. Okay. Here we are not going to discuss about AWS. We are going to discuss about AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud Platform as well. I know that you guys are, most of you are aware about AWS, but Azure and Google Cloud Platform is something new. But one thing that we need to remember, guys, that, we have to go for the multi-cloud environment. If you want to get expertise, become an expert of all three cloud. Now, if you are going to learn all of this step by step, okay, there is an issue because let's say that I have clear understanding about AWS, but when I will learn Azure and when I will learn the same concept like cloud virtual network, I have some confusion in my mind. And we want to solve this particular confusion from your mind. So today we are going to talk about all of these three cloud service providers, virtual network. Okay, so let's start with introduction. A cloud virtual network or a virtual private cloud is isolated network within public cloud infrastructure and allowing user to run their resources into the private and secure environment. Now, let me explain you this first. If you don't have knowledge of VPC or a virtual network, this will be very useful for you. I want you to understand this basic concept first. Then we are going to compare these three services from the different cloud service provider. So let me explain you this. Let's say that I am working in AWS environment right now. Okay, I am working in AWS environment now. As you know that AWS is public cloud, right? AWS is public cloud. Everybody agree with me? AWS is public cloud, yes? You just need to type yes into the chat box. Okay, now, anybody can create resources inside public cloud. Okay, so let's say that this is my AWS cloud. Okay, and I'm creating resources inside AWS. Let's say that this is my resources. I'm saying that I am A and this is my resource. Let's say that this is my EC2 instance inside my cloud. Okay. Now, if I have created my EC2 instance, other person can also create this. Okay. So there is another user named B. B is also having EC2 instance into the same AWS cloud. Now, are they able to communicate with each other? Tell me. If A and B both are having their resources, both are having a different AWS account, are they able to communicate with each other? Yes, guys. Yes or no? Achilles is saying no. What about others, guys? I want answer. Yes. Yeah. Okay. So no. Okay. If the answer is yes, then no one is going to use cloud, right? So here A and B cannot communicate with each other. Now, how it is possible? This is possible using a concept of virtual networks. AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud Platform, all of them, ultimately, they are actually cloud service provider. They are providing most of the same services. Let's say that in AWS, we have EC2 instance. In Azure, it is a virtual machine. In Google Cloud Platform, it is also a virtual machine. And in this case, you have to isolate your virtual machine from other user. Now, how you can isolate this? Using the cloud virtual network. So all of these three companies having the same concept of cloud virtual network as well. Now, using cloud virtual networks, what we are doing, like what we are achieving, or what are the key features of this? First, it is isolation. We don't want that my resources can be accessible from other AWS user or other Azure user. So the first use case of any virtual networks is isolation. Isolate my resources from other AWS or Azure users. Then customizability. See, I want to use my own I want to use my own private IP address range. Let's say that if I have one AWS account and both A and B are my computer, how they're going to communicate? Using IP. There is no big difference, right? Let's say that if I have two computers in my office, how I am able to communicate with each other? Using IP. Now let's say that if I have same two EC2 instance in AWS, how they're going to communicate? IP. Now in my on premises, for my on premises infrastructure, I am going to assign 192.168.0.1.0.2 series. How? I'm going to use my own IP address range inside AWS. Yes, you can use your customized IP address range over here as well. So there is a customization options available. Security. Using cloud virtual networks, you are actually isolating your resources from other AWS users. So one of the most important part over here is security. Then we have different connectivity options. Let's say that how I can connect my AWS network with my on-premises infrastructure. So using virtual network, you can also set up connectivity options. Then it is also scalable, and you have a control. You have a control how you are going to control inbound and outbound data. So these are like a key features we have for virtual network, and these are common key features. Okay. Now we are going to start a real game. And here we are going to discuss about key differences. If you really want to, become a multi-cloud expert, okay, the differences that we are going to discuss will be golden nuggets for you guys. Okay. So I just want you to type BIO into the chat box. Type BIO into the chat box. BIO means bring it on. Yes, guys, please. I want to know that how many of you are actually seriously watching this. Yeah, super, super. Okay, so now let's talk about this. Okay. First of all, what I'm doing, I'm going to log into the AWS account. 1 second. Okay, right now I am inside my AWS account. I'm also going to log into my Azure account. Yes, guys. So I am inside my Azure account as well. Okay. And the third one we have is Google Cloud Platform. So I am already logged in as Google Cloud Platform as well. Okay. So right now in front of you, we have three different dashboards. Here it is a first, it is AWS, then it is Azure, okay, and then we have Google Cloud Platform as well. Let me tell you, I'm not talking about which one is the best and all this, that you can decide very easily, but I want that your confusion about all of this must be very crystal clear, and this is what I want to explain you today. So let's start with the step-by-step detail. And this is really very interesting. So just wait and watch how the things are actually working. First of all, it is about VPC creation. Okay. It is about VPC creation. So how you can create VPC? We have all three platforms. So if I'm talking about AWS, we have 4 points that we need to consider. Users start by creating VPC within specific AWS region. This VPC geographic location is tied onto that region. When creating VPC in AWS, you must specify IPv4 CIDR block, which define the IP address range for the VPC. You can also associate IPv6 CIDR block with your VPC for dual stack IP addressing. So if I want to create VPC inside AWS, we need to consider these 4 things. Now, I'm going to create this VPC. Okay, I want you to see this. Right now, I am inside my AWS console. Here we have a service called VPC. So here I'm just going inside this. Okay. Now in AWS, we have default VPC. So they are actually providing a default VPC over here. Piyush asking one question, sir, what is the dual stack IP address? Piyush, first of all, thank you very much. You are liking each and every post of our LinkedIn. So thank you. Another thing that I want to tell you, that Piyush, dual stack means IP version 4 and IP version 6 together. Okay. So if you are using both together, IP version 4 and IP version 6, we call it dual stack. Yes, Piyush. Is it clear? Okay. Now in Azure, in AWS, we have default VPC. Okay. Now, if you want to delete this, you can do this. See, if I am going to select this, going to the delete VPC, I can delete this. But when you are going to delete VPC, VPC must be empty. So they have predefined VPC. They call it default VPC. Another point that you need to consider over here is, yeah, yes, Kunjan, yeah. Another point that you need to consider over here is when we are creating VPC, okay, we are creating VPC inside, okay, we are creating VPC inside any region, okay. So you have to select region. Let's say that I have selected Mumbai. Now I am going to click on create VPC. I am creating this inside Mumbai. Okay, so whenever you are creating VPC in AWS, you are selecting your region, and inside the region you are creating your VPC. Okay, this is the one thing that we need to remember. Now let's say that if I'm going to create VPC, okay, I'm going to say my VPC. Okay, and here I'm going to provide my IP address range 192.168. 0.0/24. Okay. We have to provide IP address range and say this is what IPv6, right? So if you want to use dual stack, you can enable IP version 6 as well. We are not going to talk about this right now. So I'm just created VPC in the AWS. And I think almost of you all are aware about this. Okay, so this is how you can create VPC inside AWS. Okay. Now let's talk about another cloud service provider, Azure. According to the world's data, AWS, they have 32% or 31% stake into the cloud market. Azure having 21 to 22%, and Google Cloud Platform having a stake of almost 11%. Okay. Now let's talk about Azure. In Azure, they are not calling it VPC. In Azure, we call it VNet. Okay, we call it VNet. VNet are created within Azure region, and like AWS VPC, they are tied into that region. So that is the same thing. Okay, there is no big difference. When you are creating a VPC, you are creating this inside the region. When you are creating VNet, here we call it VNet, we are creating this inside the region. Okay. Similarly, when creating VNet in Azure, you are required to specify one or more IPv4 CIDR block. And Azure also support assignment of IPv4 CIDR block to VNets, enabling the dual stack configuration. Almost similar concept. The only change we have is IPv4. Sorry, here we call it VPC. In Azure, we call it VNet. Okay. And here it is not providing by default VNet. Yes. When you create EC2 instance, it will, Azure virtual machine, it will create it automatically. But let's do this. So I'm going to the VNet. Okay, same, I'm going to search this and I got this VNet concept. Now see, I have one VNet already available, okay, in my system. Maybe because of some of the lab practical or something, I am going to delete this. Okay, let me delete this. Okay, I have some virtual machine running or what? No, let's create virtual network. Okay, I have some resources, okay, that I have to delete as well. In Azure, the system is, when you create your virtual machine, it is going to create VNet, okay? Otherwise, the concept remains same. It is deleted. Why it is again showing this? Wait, it may take time. Achilles, it is not like this. See what happened. We have habit of using AWS. So when you will use Azure little bit, there is like, you will feel uncomfortable. But as soon as you will use regularly, okay, you will feel comfortable with the Azure as well. And same thing applies to the Google Cloud Platform. Okay. For some people, they are always saying that Azure is good for us, like they like Azure console, and people thinking that, AWS console is difficult. So it is almost subjective. Okay, now let's create virtual network inside our Azure account. So first of all, you have to go to the virtual networks. Here we don't have any, and in Azure they are not also going to provide us default one. Okay. Default user is like same as we have email account that we use to create the Azure account, same as in AWS. But in AWS, we call it root user. Here, it is just a user, or we call it like administrator user. Now, here I'm going to create virtual network. Okay. See, here you need to create one resource group. Okay. And then you need to create a virtual network. Let's say that my VNet. Again, when we are creating this, we have to specify region. Okay, we are going to create everything inside the India. So let's say that there is a central India. Yeah. So we are going to create this into the central India. Next, it is related to the security. Next, see here we have to provide IP address range as well. Let's say that I want to assign 192.168.0.0/24. Okay. So same I am going to provide here as well. Okay. I don't want default subnet because we are going to discuss about subnet. Next. And I just created our VNet. And if you look at this, okay, we have VPC here with the IP address 192.168.0.0. Here we have VNet with the same series, but this is VNet. If you look at this, here we have the same address space. Now, we are going to talk about the hero of the day. And this is what we call it, Google Cloud Platform. How many of you are excited about this? Yeah, it is Google Cloud Platform, guys. GCP. Something new that you are going to get it. Something new. Yes, type yes into the chat box. It is something new that we are going to talk about. Yes, let's talk about this. And it is GCP. Now, Google Cloud's approach to VPC creation is somewhat more flexible. It is a different game. Google Cloud VPC are global resource, which means network span all the regions. While you can specify IP address of range for the subnet with your VPC, you are not required to define overreaching CIDR block for the entire VPC at creation time. This approach allows more dynamic allocation of IP address and can simply certain aspect of the network design and expansion. If we talk about VPC creation in Google Cloud Platform, the approach is totally different. How it is different? Because when we are creating any resources in like when we are creating VPC inside AWS, we are creating this inside the region. When we are creating this VNet into the Azure, we are creating this inside region. And when we are talking about Google Cloud Platform, we are creating VPC for all the Google Cloud Platform region. In Google Cloud Platform, VPC is global service. Okay. Excited to know about it? Let me go to this. This is Google Cloud Platform, guys. Very simple to see this. And if I want to go to the VPC, I can go from here. Okay. And if you want to go, you can directly go to this for as well. And you need to click on VPC. And this is my default VPC. Okay. If you want to delete this default VPC, you can also delete this. Okay. And if I'm going to click on delete VPC network, okay, I have to type the default, but you know, you must not have any resources. So let me verify. Okay, I just deleted, and I'm deleting like every time I'm doing the same thing. Okay, so I just deleted my default VPC, and now we are going to create VPC, but this is something different we have, and this is what you need to understand, right? So it is deleting. Wait, if you want to ask any question, you can ask. Yes. If you ask me, GCP will be available in the future on the CloudFox Hub. 1001%, guys. We want that everybody become multi-cloud expert. Okay. GCP will be coming soon, but after Azure. Okay. So right now, Azure already there, but we are going to add Azure first, and then we will do this. Yeah. Why today no English? Someone Piyush is Piyush, actually, there are many people in our community. They are actually from the different countries. So, I have a problem with these people like you. If they cannot able to understand, this is not good, right? You guys can understand English very easily, but these people cannot understand Hindi. So that's why no English, but let me try this. Okay, let me try this as well. Okay, so right now I don't have AWS in VPC, Azure in VNet, and GCP is also VPC. See, look at this. It is a VPC network. So GCP में भी वो VPC ही है, नाम दोनों का सेम है. ओके, और ये है ना, गूगल ने क्या किया है, दे आर एक्चुअली गिविंग सिमिलर नेम, बिकॉज गूगल, ये उनका जो फिलोसॉफी है वो ये है कि भाई सबका नाम अगर सेम होगा ना तो कंफ्यूजन ना हो किसी को, राइट. आई थिंक टुडे सेशन लाइव ऑन यूट्यूब ऑल्सो, दैट्स व्हाई इंग्लिश, राइट. ओके, कोई भी लैंग्वेज चलेगा, समझ में आना चाहिए, बाकी लैंग्वेज का कोई प्रॉब्लम है नहीं. ओके, अब देखिए यहां पे मैं VPC बनाने जा रहा हूं. आई एम गोइंग टू क्रिएट VPC in Google Cloud Platform. Okay, look at the difference. Look at the difference. See, VPC name. I'm going to give name my GCP VPC. Now look at this. It is not asking me. Okay, it is not asking me about IP address range. Okay, it is not asking me about the IP address range. I just need to create subnet directly. Okay, MTU means maximum transmission unit. When you are going to send this TCP packet, the size of the TCP packet we can define into the MTU. Right now you don't need to worry about this, but I want you to understand the difference, right? When we are creating VPC as AWS VPC, we are creating this inside the region. Then when we are going to use VNet, same concept. But when we are going to use Google Cloud Platform, okay, this my GCP VPC is kind of global. So this VPC is for all the regions we have in the Google Cloud Platform. Okay. So this is the main concept. Now you may have the question like, okay, let's create this. No, I don't want to create this right now because I want you to go step by step. Okay. So now once you create VPC, okay, in AWS and Azure, the second step is subnets. Okay, keep this in mind. Once you need to create VPC, you need to create subnets. If I'm going to the AWS account, okay, see, right now this is my VPC. But after VPC, I have to create the subnet. Okay, it is visible over here, but it is just a problem of the screen. Let me refresh this. See, I don't have any subnet. So we need to create subnet. Now I want you to understand this whole concept. Okay, so what I'm doing, I'm just going to draw this. Okay, I'm just going to draw this according to AWS. Okay, I want you guys to understand. I'm explaining you this AWS concept right now. Okay, just AWS, because here it is a big different game. Okay, first of all, we have region. Okay, we have region. Let's say that we have AP South 1. Because in AWS, we are creating VPC inside region. So yellow, it is my region. Inside region, we are creating VPC. Okay. So this is my VPC. I have this inside my region. Okay. So this is my VPC. Okay. VPC. Now, inside region, we have 3 availability zone. Okay. So you know about the availability zone, right? We have AP South 1. Okay. We have AP South 1B and AP South 1C. These are known as availability zone. Okay. Let me change the color. Okay, so we have 3 availability zone and they named it AP South 1. Then we have AP South, 1A, 1B, and 1C. This is known as availability zone. Okay. Now, the real game. When you are creating, okay, when you are creating subnet in the AWS, I am repeating again, जब हम AWS के अंदर सबनेट बनाएंगे तब हम सबनेट को अवेलेबिलिटी जोन के अंदर बनाएंगे. ओके, हम सबनेट को कहां बनाएंगे? अवेलेबिलिटी जोन के अंदर. तो क्या होगा यहां पे, जब आप सबनेट बनाओगे तब आप यहां पे सबनेट बनाओगे, अवेलेबिलिटी जोन के अंदर सबनेट बनाओगे. ओके, और आपका सबनेट जो है वो कभी भी अवेलेबिलिटी जोन जो है उसकी बाउंड्री को तोड़ नहीं सकता है. तो सबनेट बनाना पड़ेगा अवेलेबिलिटी जोन के अंदर ही. कहां पे? AWS के अंदर. मैं आपको दिखाता हूं कैसे. जैसे कि यहां पे मैं सबनेट बनाने जाऊंगा तो मैं करूंगा क्रिएट सबनेट, फिर यहां पे मैं अपना VPC लूंगा, फिर मैं अपना सबनेट का नाम लूंगा, जैसे सबनेट. ओके, सबनेट 1. यहां पे मुझे ये बताना पड़ेगा कि कौन से अवेलेबिलिटी जोन के अंदर मुझे ये सबनेट बनाना है. तो मैंने सिलेक्ट किया AP South 1. ओके, और उसके बाद आपको जो भी IP एड्रेस का रेंज देना है, जो आपके CIDR ब्लॉक का IP एड्रेस रेंज था वही आप दे सकते हो. जैसे मैंने यहाँ पे दे दिया 0.0/25. ओके, क्योंकि मुझे वो IP सबनेटिंग करना पड़ेगा, बट ये मैंने सबनेट बनाया. ओके, ये सबनेट बनाने का सिस्टम AWS में है और इस तरह से AWS में हम सबनेट बनाते हैं. राइट, सबको क्लियर है? अब तक का कोई प्रॉब्लम है तो बोलो. यस एवरीबॉडी, जस्ट टाइप क्लियर इनटू द चैट बॉक्स. अब तक कुछ भी प्रॉब्लम है तो आप पूछ सकते हो. अभी तक कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. राइट, सुपर सुपर. ओके, अब देखिए, हाँ, रियल टाइम सिनेरियो की बात करेंगे. पहले कॉन्सेप्ट तो समझ लीजिए भावेश भाई. राइट, फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल लेट्स अंडरस्टैंड द कॉन्सेप्ट, देन वी विल टॉक अबाउट द रियल टाइम सिनेरियो. ओके, अब देखो यहां पे मैं जाऊंगा माइंड मैप पे. देखिए, in AWS when you create subnet, within VPC, the subnet reside, right? Subnet reside in a single availability zone. This design choice provides fault isolation and limiting the impact of AZ failure for the resources within that AZ. Each subnet must be associated with specific AZ and cannot span multiple AZ. यानी कि ये सबनेट यहां पे नहीं जा सकता, सबनेट विद इन अवेलेबिलिटी जोन ही रहेगा. ओके, अब यू कैन क्रिएट मल्टीपल सबनेट विद इन सेम एजी टू ऑर्गेनाइज द रिसोर्सेज. आप ये कर सकते हो, जैसे यहां पे एक सबनेट बना दिया, सबनेट 1. ओके, इसके बाद आप यहां पे सबनेट बना लो. ओके, सबनेट 2. अगर आपको तीनों अवेलेबिलिटी जोन बना यूज करना है तो आपको तीनों सबनेट बनाना पड़ेगा. दूसरी बात, आप एक अवेलेबिलिटी जोन के अंदर मल्टीपल सबनेट भी बना लो, ये कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. पर अगर आपको, जैसे मुझे अगर इसको यूज करना है एपी साउथ 1C को, तो अभी मैं यूज नहीं कर सकता. क्यों? क्योंकि इसके अंदर सबनेट नहीं है. तो सबनेट होना इट इज द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट पार्ट, वो जरूरी है आपके लिए, उसके बिना नहीं हो सकता है. अभी मैं आपको एक एग्जांपल देता हूं. देखो, अभी ये AWS है, मैंने सबनेट 1 बनाया. कहां बनाया? सबनेट 1 मैंने कौन से अवेलेबिलिटी जोन में बनाया? एपी साउथ 1A में बनाया, राइट. देखो, ये अवेलेबिलिटी जोन कौन सा है? एपी साउथ 1A. अब यहां पे अगर मैं EC2 में जाके EC2 इंस्टेंस बनाना चाहूंगा, राइट, यहां पे मैं बोलूंगा लॉन्च इंस्टेंस. ओके, यहां पे मैं बोलूंगा सर्वर, Amazon AMI T2 माइक्रो, ये जो भी की है. अब देखो यहां पे मैं गया माई VPC. अब देखो यहां पे सबनेट 1 आ रहा है. सबनेट 1 आ रहा है, इसका मतलब क्या हुआ? मैं सिर्फ एपी साउथ 1A के अंदर ये बना सकता हूं. अगर मुझे दूसरा EC2 इंस्टेंस एपी साउथ 1B में बनाना है तो नहीं बना सकता. क्यों नहीं बना सकता? क्योंकि सिंपल मैटर यहां पे है कि क्या आपके पास सबनेट है. ओके, तो यहां पे हमारे पास सबनेट नहीं है एपी साउथ 1B में, इसीलिए हम नहीं बना सकते. सबनेट बनाना पड़ेगा, उसके बाद ही आप उसके अंदर जो भी रिसोर्सेज बनाना है वो बना सकते हो. कोई भी अवेलेबिलिटी जोन अगर आप चूज करते हो, उससे पहले आपको सबनेट चूज करना पड़ेगा, बनाना पड़ेगा, उसके बाद ही आगे काम होगा, राइट. अब हम बात करते हैं वीनेट की. ओके, हम बात करते हैं वीनेट की. पिक्चर यही रहेगा. ओके, क्योंकि यहां पे सिर्फ चेंजेस क्या है, जोन के नाम अलग होंगे, राइट. तो वो लोग क्या करते हैं, वो लोग ये कहते हैं जोन ए, जोन 1. ओके, ये गूगल वाले, सॉरी, ये एज्योर वाले जोन 1 2 3 कहते हैं, बाकी कोई उसमें फर्क नहीं है. ओके, तो वो सेम है जोन 1 2. ओके, एंड जोन 3. तो यहां पे नाम में ही फर्क है, बाकी कुछ नहीं. तो ये है जोन 1 2 3. ओके, अब बात यहां पे आएगी कि जब आप सबनेट बनाते हो, के जब आप सबनेट बनाते हो, इसके अंदर वीनेट के अंदर, राइट, वीनेट के अंदर जब आप सबनेट बनाते हो, तब क्या होता है, ये सबनेट एक्चुअली तीनों जोन के अंदर बन गया. एक ही सबनेट बनाया, तीनों जोन के अंदर, डन. यहां पे दो अलग चीज है जो AWS में है उससे. AWS में क्या था, सबनेट जो है वो अवेलेबिलिटी जोन के अंदर बनता था. यहां पे सबनेट सीधा VPC के रीजन के अंदर बनेगा और वो तीनों अवेलेबिलिटी जोन को कवर कर लेगा. AWS में, इन AWS वी कैन नॉट एक्सपैंड subnet beyond the zone, availability zone. Here it is expanded by default. Okay. यहाँ पे I explain you that right now in AWS, I cannot create my EC2 instance in AP South 1B because I don't have subnet over here, right? I don't have subnet. I have to have subnet over there in order to create any resources. This is what we have inside AWS. But if I'm going to Azure over here, okay, see here I'm going to create subnet, right? I'm going to click on create subnet, giving name like same subnet 1, okay, and here I'm going to use the same, like let's say that /25, okay, and I'm going to click on save. I just created subnet. Now if I want to create EC2 instance into the zone 1, zone 2, or zone 3, we don't need to worry about this. If I'm going to the virtual machine, and if I'm going to click on create virtual machine, okay, here I'm going to select this Sunday and see. If I'm going to say that availability zone, and here it is like 3 availability zones, zone 1, 2, 3, I can create this into any zone because once you create subnet, it is going to use all of these 3 subnet. Yeah. Yeah, that is what we will discuss, Kunjan. Right now, I'm just talking about the basic things that you must have clear understanding, right? How we are going to provide this DRS and all this. This is what next topic. But I hope you are getting this complete understanding about this. Okay. And the third one is even a total different concept we have. Okay, how? Let's talk about this. Now, this is actually Google Cloud Platform. Okay, this is Google GCP. Now, when you are going to create VPC, right? When you are going to create VPC, VPC is actually it is going to cover all the regions. So if we talk about GCP's virtual private cloud, they have a border end. So here what we call that's here it is, we call it like region. Okay, it is called region. Okay, region 1, region 2, and region 3. VPC is global concept. So when you are creating VPC, you are creating this globally. So all the regions will be over there. Now, let's say that I want to create resources in India. Okay, I want to create resources in India. So in India, I have to create subnet. And this is what the subnet over here. Okay, and again in the region, they have availability zone as well. So in this, they are actually going to cover all the 3 availability zone of that particular region as well. So this is how the concept of Google Cloud Platform we have. But this is region, top VPC. Once you create VPC, you have VPC in all the region. This same single VPC is actually visible into all the region. Now, let's say that if you want to create resources into the India, you need to create subnet into the India. And when you create subnet into the India, okay, it is going to use all 3 availability zone like Azure. Okay, so this is how the Google Cloud Platform works. No, Bhavesh, not same as Azure, right? Not same as Azure, because in Azure, Bhavesh, in Azure, VPC ग्लोबल नहीं है. एज्योर में VPC इनसाइड दिस होता है, राइट? यहां पे ये ग्लोबल है. पर हाँ, जब आप सबनेट बनाते हो तो वो रीजन के जितने अवेलेबिलिटी जोन है उसके अंदर बन जाएगा. वो कॉन्सेप्ट अगर हम कहेंगे तो वो एज्योर जैसा है, राइट? तो यहां पे मैं गूगल क्लाउड प्लेटफॉर्म में जाऊंगा. देखिए, फिर से करते हैं. हाँ, इसको थोड़ा सा कंफ्यूज नहीं करना है. इसको लेट्स अंडरस्टैंड दिस। अगर फिर उसके बाद आपको कोई क्वेश्चन है तो हम करेंगे। देखिए अभी मेरे पास कोई वीपीसी नहीं है। ओके, आई एम इनसाइड गूगल क्लाउड। ओके, अब मैं यहाँ पे क्या करूंगा, क्रिएट न्यू वीपीसी, जैसे मैंने किया माई जीसीपी वीपीसी। ओके, अभी देखो यहाँ पे हमारे पास है सबनेट क्रिएशन मोड। ओके, यहाँ पे आप ऑटोमेटिक कर दोगे तो सभी रीजन में अपने आप कर देगा। देखो जितने रीजन है अपने आप कर लिया। ओके, नहीं मैं बोलूंगा कस्टम, मैं करूंगा न्यू सबनेट। ओके, सबनेट नेम सबनेट 1, राइट। अब यहाँ पे आ गया रीजन, ये ना कैपिटल वाला बहुत प्रॉब्लम है इसमें। ओके, सबनेट 1, यहाँ पे देखो यहाँ पे आ गया हमारा रीजन। ओके, कहाँ पे आपको बनाना है, ओके वो चूज कर लो, राइट। अब उस रीजन के हिसाब से हम उसके अंदर बनाएंगे, राइट। सो लेट्स से दैट अभी कर लेते हैं एशिया ईस्ट 1। ओके, यहाँ पे कौन सा आपको आईपी एड्रेस रेंज देना है, हमारा सेम है 192.168.0.0/24। ओके, तो अब देखिए ये क्या हो गया, पूरा रीजन मेरे पास आ गया। समझो गाइस, पूरा रीजन है, उस रीजन के अंदर मैं अभी रिसोर्स बना पाऊंगा। गॉट माय पॉइंट और नॉट? एशिया ईस्ट 1 कर देते चलो, राइट। और ये देखो ये हो गया वीपीसी। अब अगर मुझे वर्चुअल मशीन बनाना है तो मैं वर्चुअल मशीन बना पाऊंगा, पर एशिया ईस्ट में जो मैंने वहां पे वीपीसी बनाया है, सबनेट बनाया है, उसी में बना पाऊंगा। तो यहाँ पे बहुत ही अलग कॉन्सेप्ट है। अगर हम तीनों के बीच में बात करें तो सर्विस एक ही है, कौन सी? वर्चुअल नेटवर्क। पर तीनों में काम अलग तरीके से करता है, इसमें थोड़ा सा टाइम लगेगा। हम पहले माइंड मैप देख लेते हैं। एज्योर, देखिए इन एज्योर व्हेन यू क्रिएट सबनेट विद इन वीनेट, द सबनेट कैन स्पैन टू ऑल अवेलेबिलिटी जोन विद इन रीजन वेयर द वीनेट रिसाइड। This model provides different approach to high availability and fault tolerance. Since VNet and their subnet are regional resources in Azure, deploying resources in subnet means they can automatically utilize multiple availability zone and enhancing the availability without the need of managing separate subnet for each AZ. यहाँ पे आपको सभी AZ के लिए अलग से सबनेट बनाना पड़ेगा। यहाँ पे आपको सभी एजी के लिए अलग सबनेट नहीं बनाना पड़ेगा। उसके बाद हमारा है गूगल क्लाउड प्लेटफॉर्म, जो है डिफरेंट, राइट। इन गूगल क्लाउड सबनेट आर रीजनल रिसोर्सेज विद इन ग्लोबल वीपीसी। तो हमने यहाँ पे एक वीपीसी बनाया और हमने यहाँ पे ये भी बोला कि हम इसको किस पर्टिकुलर रीजन के लिए बना रहे हैं, जिसमें हमने लिखा है एशिया ईस्ट के लिए। अगर मुझे किसी और रीजन में बनाना है तो मुझे यहां से ऐड सबनेट करके एक अलग से आईपी एड्रेस रेंज देना पड़ेगा। वो रेंज में कुछ भी दे दूं, कोई प्रॉब्लम यहां पे नहीं है। दिस मीन्स सिंगल सबनेट स्पैन टू ऑल द जोन इन रीजन, प्रोवाइड सिंपल एंड फ्लेक्सिबल अप्रोच for deploying resources across the multiple zone without needing to create zone specific subnet. यहाँ पे zone specific नहीं है, जो हमने AWS में किया था ऐसा यहाँ पे नहीं है। The global nature of the Google Cloud's VPC combined with regional subnet offer unique model where resources across the different region can interconnected more seamlessly while still maintaining the regional isolation and fault tolerance. This architecture allows for efficient IP address management and resource deployment, facilitating easier expansion and management of the cloud resources. तो हमने तीनों जगह पे AWS में भी VPC बनाया और सबनेट बनाया, पर यहाँ पे प्रॉब्लम ये है कि अभी AP साउथ 1, B और C में नहीं है। इसके बाद हमने यहाँ पर बनाया जो हमारा एज्योर था, उसमें भी हमने वर्चुअल नेटवर्क बनाया और वहां पर भी हमने ये एक सबनेट भी बनाया है। देखिए ये सबनेट है, ओके। और उसके बाद हमने गूगल क्लाउड प्लेटफॉर्म में भी एक वीपीसी बनाया और उस वीपीसी के अंदर भी सबनेट बनाया, और ये जो सबनेट है वो स्पेसिफिक रीजन के अंदर बनाया। तो ये तीनों में ये डिफरेंट है। अगर मुझे अभी एक और वीपीसी चाहिए यूएसए में, तो गूगल क्लाउड प्लेटफॉर्म के अंदर मुझे सिर्फ सबनेट बनाना पड़ेगा, खत्म। अगर मुझे एज्योर में चाहिए या एडब्ल्यूएस में चाहिए, यहां से मुझे फिर से रीजन यूएस ईस्ट करना पड़ेगा, फिर वीपीसी बनाना पड़ेगा, और उसके बाद स्टेप बाय स्टेप प्रोसेस फिर से करनी पड़ेगी। तो यहां पे ये डिफरेंस है। ओके, हमारे पास टोटल 5 टॉपिक्स है जो की डिफरेंसेस स्टेप बाय स्टेप हम करेंगे। रियल वर्ल्ड सिनेरियो, रियल वर्ल्ड एग्जांपल भी मैं दूंगा, पर अभी हमारा टाइम खत्म होने जा रहा है। हमने वीपीसी क्रिएशन और सबनेट क्रिएशन किया है। हम अपना नेक्स्ट सेशन यहीं से कंटिन्यू करेंगे एंड 3 4 5 हम कंप्लीट करेंगे। एक बार वो कंप्लीट करने के बाद हम पूरा सबनेट से लेके ए टू जेड पूरे रिसोर्सेज बनाएंगे, तो हमारा अंडरस्टैंडिंग तीनों के लिए बहुत ही क्लियर हो जाएगा, राइट। अगर हम फ्यूचर की बात करें, तीनों के फीचर है, दो तीनों का फ्यूचर है, फीचर्स है, अलग है, पर यस तीनों बेस्ट है। ओके, तो यहां अब हम एंड करते हैं हमारे सेशन का। आई होप यू एंजॉय दिस। कोई भी क्वेश्चन है, आप हमारे क्लाउड फॉक्स कम्युनिटी मेंबर को मालूम है, आप टेलीग्राम में कभी भी मैसेज कर लो, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है। प्रणय, कोई सीसीएनए का नॉलेज की जरूरत नहीं है, और ये है ना सीसीएनए वगैरह थोड़ा आउटडेटेड हो चुका है। ओके, सो डोंट वरी अबाउट दिस। प्रणय, सीसीएनए के लिए सिर्फ आईपी का नॉलेज होना जरूरी है, और वो हमारे लाइव क्लासेस में हम रखते ही है, वो सेशन भी हो जाएगा, तो कोई टेंशन लेने की जरूरत नहीं है। ओके, नाउ वी आर गोइंग टू कंप्लीट अवर टुडे सेशन। थैंक यू वेरी मच गाइस। यहां से टॉपिक नंबर 3 4 5 नेक्स्ट वीक, नेक्स्ट फ्राइडे शार्प 8 o'clock हम कंटिन्यू करेंगे। ओके, या गुड बाय, सी यू। I'm going to click on